episode of The Follow-Up. I'm Eden, it's my dad Noah, and every week we sit on my bed and have a conversation about something we want to talk about. And this week, we're going to talk about our visit to the JFK Presidential Library. So we were in Boston this weekend, and so we decided something, it was raining that day, pouring. So we decided something good inside to do. We would go to the JFK Library. None of us had ever been to one of the presidential libraries, so it was a cool first experience for both of us.
Yeah, and you had read that Who Was Jacqueline Kennedy book over and over again a few years ago. And then we watched the first episode of Kennedy.
Yeah. A documentary.
On History Channel or
yeah,
PBS
History Channel,
something like that.
Documentary series.
Yeah, we need to watch more of that. So we watched that first episode, and I mean, it's one of the all-time fascinating characters in U.S. history,
right.
And so it was. I loved the building, being out on the water, Boston Harbor. It's a shame that it was so gloomy that you couldn't see anything. But what did you like? What did you like about the experience?
I think it was cool seeing, because everything there. It's a museum all about John F. Kennedy and Jacqueline Kennedy and his life. And there's so much, I think, new I think especially about him. So much happened in his life. I think there's always so much more you can learn. And just, little new things you can find out. And I think just learning more and being in that environment where it didn't exactly it felt like a really cool museum.
Why?
Because I think everything felt just so old in there. Meaning it was from the past, of course.
Right. But all museums
I
are.
think it really showed this was someone before in the past that helped shape our history. And I think it's important for everybody to learn about those people who really made where we are now become this.
So what did you learn?
I learned that this museum was built on the water. Why? Because JFK, he really liked the water. And it's I think the little things that make history really come together.
Right, he was a sailor.
Yeah, and I think it's those little things and it really shows who people are, that we don't see just JFK as the president, we see him someone else who also wasn't the president.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as a citizen, as a private citizen first. Okay, so what in the museum itself there are a lot of things to watch. What were you watching?
Well, you watch some of his speeches. A
lot
of his speeches.
Right, so do you remember which ones?
The one where he said that we will go to the moon.
Mm-hmm.
The one where he was talking about the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Mm-hmm. At American University, yeah.
There was one, it was his inauguration speech?
Yes, his inauguration address, yeah.
And I think those were really cool. We saw some of his debates, presidential debates.
The one debate.
The one debate,
right. The first televised debate.
Against Nixon,
mm-hmm.
where you could see, he really showed that he had power.
Yeah, he showed that he was up for it.
Yeah,
he
had power over I could win this election.
Yeah, he had charisma. Yeah, he had charisma. He was able to draw the viewers in. He was younger, good-looking guy, well-spoken, and Nixon was older, sweating, and that debate, from what I understand, really helped him win the election. But I also didn't realize how close the election was.
Oh yeah, because you saw where the states were.
Mm-hmm. And he blew him out in the Electoral College,
mm-hmm.
and he received 80% of the black vote, but he only won the popular vote by 118,000 votes, which is pretty wild. But he won the Electoral College in a landslide. Yeah. What about this? What did you appreciate about seeing the stuff about Jacqueline Kennedy and her life too?
I think it was really interesting to get. I think she was just we think of her sometimes as just someone who was there. he was just like, we think of her as John F. Kennedy's wife.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was cool to see more of like what she was like, really more insight into her life. And I think something that stood out was she wrote a really nice essay on kindness. And I think that was really important. And it showed about her personality and what meant a lot to her.
Yeah, it was a speech when she was in high school at this. It's called Miss Porter's School, and it was her handwritten speech, and the title of it said, "Be kind and do your share." And this speech was about a page and a half. So yeah, about a page and a half, was all about like how easy it is to be kind and to do your part in society.
Yeah.
To be kind, and how how much of a difference just little things can make.
Yeah.
Which I did really like. I also liked that when she got to the White House, nothing was being saved. She thought there was going to be all of these things from previous presidents and this history inside the White House, and there wasn't. So she was the one who started, like, essentially the White House archives, and went and got from previous presidents and their wives and family members, started the White House collection, and started bringing things back into the White House, and then
like she kind of made the White House like what it is now with all the things in it that are so historical.
Yeah, and she helped preserve a ton of it.
Yeah.
And then she gave that tour of the White House, which won an Emmy, which was I think the first time it was it had been televised, a tour of the White House.
I think that's the only time a tour of the White House has won an Emmy.
Yeah, probably.
But I think that's cool.
And then of course they showed her dresses, and
one of her dresses.
They had a few of her dresses.
In person?
Uh-huh.
They had a few.
Yeah, they had a few of her dresses. And that's what so many people remember about her, but her life was just so tragic that, I mean, JFK, I didn't realize JFK, her husband is killed 3 months after their son dies.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a lot in 3 months.
Man. Yeah, it's enough for a lifetime, and unfortunately that wasn't the end of it for her.
Right.
And something that we learned about in the documentary in the first part, and then it came up again, was that JFK himself wasn't a good student.
No.
And he
still went to Harvard, though.
Yeah, he still went to Harvard, but he didn't value his studies until much later.
Yes.
And was very social, and also he kept friends close, but liked organizing parties, but then liked being just with one or two people at a time. And I thought that seeing JFK, we saw his golf balls and a golf club, and it said Mr. President Ford on it. But he was very wary of playing golf because Dwight Eisenhower was criticized so much for playing so much golf, and it kind of sounds like presidents today, that he was criticized so much for playing golf that Kennedy never played like a full 18 holes.
No.
He would just like run out there, play a few holes, play some more, and then leave.
And then finish leader or something.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Was there like one specific, maybe just small thing that like really stood out to you? Maybe something we've already said or something.
Yeah, well, that letter from that speech that Jackie Kennedy wrote, it certainly did. I thought I liked seeing. So when we saw his the debate, seeing the CBS it's where the moderator sat and his station in front of him.
Cool.
And that was there. Yeah, I liked seeing that.
Yeah.
But I'd like to learn more about Kennedy. There's only so much time in the day. I feel like there's so many things that when you go somewhere like that, I want to know more about the Cuban Missile Crisis and what the world was like for those 2 weeks, feeling like they were completely on edge. And I guess talk to grandparents about it. But now I want to go back and watch more of the reports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there's always so much more to learn.
There is.
And it's like, you can never stop.
Right,
you find something new,
right.
and there's something else, and something else, and something else.
And one thing leads you to start reading about something else, and to read about something else, and read about something else. Yeah.
Everything grows new knowledge.
I like that.
Actually, I kind of like how that sounds. Everything.
You come up with that yourself?
I just thought of that.
Nice. I do
kinda
like that. Okay, lastly, we went to BU.
Yeah.
I went to school.
That was really cool.
We walked up campus and ate in the student union, which was a trip for me because it was completely different. And I didn't feel old being on campus with you and Mom. Like having a child on campus. I felt old on campus having gray hair. That's what made me feel old. Not being there with wife and child. Did you have any idea of what BU might be like before we got there?
No.
I mean, I told you it was like a city school, but
I imagined it as buildings in the city.
Buildings in the city, and that's
exactly
what it was.
I guess what it is.
Totally different from other campuses you've seen.
Yes, I've seen two others.
I think you've seen more, but
at least like once.
We've really walked around Vermont. We walked around Colorado. I think you've seen others, but
yeah,
you've seen Fordham a bit. Yeah, but it's totally different, huh?
Yeah, it's very different because it's a city school, not a college campus school.
When you saw those kids walking around, like college kids, were you thinking, that's going to be me like someday?
No.
Good. You're just living in the present.
Yeah.
Good. All right. All right. I love you.
Love you.